2nd, year 2007, and we're visiting with Lois Holm. So Lois, would you like to tell us your maiden name, when you were born, and
Lois Louise Cooper Smith, and I was born July 24th, 1926, near Holm, Kansas. My mother's maiden name was Wolschlager. And let's see, where do I go from here?
well, if you do you have any childhood memories you'd like to share with us, or?
Well, I grew up on a farm and went to the same grade school for 8 years, and then progressed to Marysville High School and graduated from here in 1944.
What grade school?
Midway, District 130, which they've recently erected a rock memorial
Oh, good.
at the location.
Who were some of your teachers?
Martha Geisler, Geneva Brunsback, Irma Kniestad, and I can't even think of the name of the first one.
Did you have any brothers or sisters?
Yes, I'm the oldest of 6, and I have Frederick and Carol and Frank, who is deceased from cancer, Donald, and Mary.
And you're all still living in the area?
Well, my youngest sister, who is 14 years younger than I am, lives in Washington State. They transferred out there years ago with Boeing, and he's now retired. And my sister Carol lives in Wyoming, and she and her husband went out there with the lumber company from Marysville, and later that was sold, and he worked for Sears, and he's now deceased from brain cancer. I've been a farm person all of my life. I did work here in Marysville as a secretary and bookkeeper, and my last position was with the National Farm Loan Association. I was secretary to the secretary treasurer, and then I got married and moved into the Blue Rapids area, and we lived on our farm for quite a long time, although my husband worked for Georgia Pacific most of the time, and part of the time our farm was rented to the Katopishes. And when my husband developed cancer, he insisted we sell the farm and buy a house in Blue Rapids. He said, "I know what you'll do. If something happens to me, you'll stay on the farm and you shouldn't be out there." And I enjoyed the farm all my life, and of course I started out as a little child, and I really liked the country school, and we had remarkable teachers, and they were so good to us, like providing wiener roasts, trips to the movies, followed with ice cream. And I enjoyed the programs that we gave, but I really, as a person, I didn't care to be in them. But the best I ever did in one was I was mad because I couldn't wear a dress I wanted to that night. My folks wanted me to save it for our church program, which I did. But I was angry, and I needed to be angry in the play, so it all worked out great. And of course, our last day of school celebrations in the country were great. Always a big picnic dinner.
And all your families would come with the picnic?
Yes.
Okay.
And then our parents, they always provided ice cream and cake as a welcome to the teacher sometime in the early part of the term. Of course, we kids really enjoyed that. And we never had any discipline problems in our school. I think we all respected and liked the teachers so much that that was out of the question.
So is it a one-room schoolhouse?
Yes, one of those one-room like that roof schools.
Okay.
And it was recently taken down and burnt.
Oh.
And then the rock memorial put up. Let's see.
So how did you meet your husband?
Well, I was working for this National Farm Loan Association a bit, and he bought a farm and came in, and I made out his loan papers and that, but that didn't materialize into anything until I went skating at Beatty, and I guess you would really go from there and say that that's when we actually were acquainted.
Uh-huh. Where was your farm located? You said
6 miles south of Blue Rapids and a mile east and a quarter north. And the school was located on it,
the
Prairie Ridge.
Prairie Ridge. Okay.
And the church was just a mile north from there. But the school was on our farm, actually, or had been taken from it. My daughter went to school there one year, which she really enjoyed. And then, of course, due to the consolidation, she went to Blue Rapids and eventually graduated from Valley Heights and then on to college at K-State.
Did you have any formal training after high school?
No, I did not. I very much wanted to go to college, but my parents had 6 children, and they didn't want to do for one what they couldn't do for all. And I was too probably timid to really investigate possibilities such as scholarships and things.
But your job with the secretarial job worked out really good then.
Yes, it did. I also had worked in the courthouse in the treasurer's office and for Montgomery Ward, and that was a challenge. I was in inventory control, and of course I was 18 years old.
Was Montgomery Ward located where Reflections is now? Is that
Right.
that corner there? Okay.
Sure was.
And that was the first Montgomery Wards in the state of Kansas, or some. I mean, there's some distinction.
Maybe even nationally, I'm not sure.
Yeah, it was some distinction there.
And then I did work for the Exchange Bank for 2 weeks. And the reason for that was they hired me with the understanding that they had a girl on vacation that they thought would quit probably. But if she did not, then I was out of the job. Well, that's what happened.
Oh.
And so I, from there, went to Montgomery Ward, then to the treasurer's office, and then to the National Farm Loan office.
So what year did you get married?
1950.
1950. Okay, and then you moved to the farm south of Blue Rapids. then?
Right.
Okay.
That's true.
Were there any clubs that you joined out there in that neighborhood?
Yes, if I can even think of the name now. Well, a women's group. My memory fails me.
Was Angeline Bigham in the neighborhood there also at the same time period?
Yes, she was.
So, okay.
In fact, I think they lived in our farmhouse for a while after they were married.
That's okay, because I was thinking it was north of that schoolhouse you talked about.
Uh-huh.
So then when did your husband start working for Georgia Pacific?
Well, shortly after we were married,
Okay.
because he realized that he was going to need to work. And he had worked for the gravel pit prior to that, but they did not offer health insurance or anything, and we had to have our own, which was expensive. And he sort of sat on the doorstep of Georgia Pacific till they hired him.
Oh.
And he worked there at least 25 years, and that clock back there is evidence of that.
Oh, okay. So this would have been the mine down below the hill, right?
Right,
And it was called Best Wall at that point?
I think so.
Yeah.
He never
What job did he do?
Well, his last job was one of the night watchmen. And I really, well, he worked in the board plant first. And other than that, I can't tell you just too much about it. He never did go down into the mine or ever work in it.
Did he ever come home with any stories of things that went on down in the mine, or with it, example, like some funny things that happened, stories on some of the guys, or?
Well, yes, I think so, but I really can't tell you that.
Uh-huh. Oscar Weir was probably there at that point.
Yes, he
Oscar,
was.
okay.
That name's familiar.
I understand he was quite a character.
He was.
He was. Did they have mules down there at that
No.
period? Okay, they had already went to automation or something.
And my husband lost half of 1 foot between 2 rail cars there at one point.
Oh,
I don't know. He never did tell what happened. I think someone possibly made a mistake and he didn't want to elaborate.
oh, Do you remember who was the, like the plant manager or superintendent or anything?
Oh gosh, I should,
Two,
but
okay.
I don't.
Yeah, that's fine, no problem.
Maybe if I thought on it a while I could, but right off I cannot.
So then he was born in the log cabin, the home log cabin, and it was located south of Prairie Ridge
Yes.
School, down in the hills, down in
Yes.
there, a couple miles or something like that.
I don't know just how many
But,
miles.
yeah.
Not too far.
So could you tell us some of the other brothers and sisters?
Well, there was Ellen. The oldest was Otto, and Ellen and Dorothy and Kenneth and my husband Melton, Melton, and his sister Lois, and his youngest brother who's still living, Danny,
Mm-hmm.
and he was 10 years younger than my husband.
Okay. Did he talk much about living down there in the hills? What did they do for a living, or?
Well, I guess they farmed to a certain extent, and I think back in those days, like he and his brothers worked for different people, you know, to help out in that, and to, well, earn their own living, so to speak.
Yeah.
Do you have any idea how long his parents had lived in that log cabin?
I can't tell you that.
Were they Swedish?
His father was. His mother was Irish and German.
And they spelled their name S-J-H-O-L-M at that time?
No.
No.
It was always Holm, but it was C. Holm or something like that originally before it was cut down.
So would have it been his grandparents that built that log cabin? That be the generation?
I think so.
Really?
I can't
Because-
tell you that for sure.
We'd go back and look on the,
If you could come up with the paper when that cabin was moved through Rapids Times, I'm sure there would be a history in there of it.
right, and our sign there says when it was built, and of course I didn't look at it before it came up. No. So it'd probably be his folks too.
I remember him telling that there was a loft in it, and the children slept up there, and they liked to have pillow fights.
And that probably was an elaborate cabin with a loft in it, because, well, or it's a 2-room. They said it was
It
unique
was-
because it was a 2-room.
Yeah.
I think it was just 2 rooms.
And then the loft.
And I don't think it was anything very elaborate.
Well, yeah, but larger maybe than some other cabins might have
Could have
been.
been,
Yeah,
possibly.
yeah.
I don't see how they all managed in it.
Mm-mm.
Mhm.
Just thinking even of a heating stove in it and a cooking stove. You know, it seems like it would be such a little space.
Mhm.
I'm sort of hoarse today. I think it's allergies.
Oh, yeah.
When did your husband live at home then until you got married?
No, he was in the service in the Army 4 years, and part of that time was spent in New Guinea. And then he lived on a farm to himself for a while, and then with his sister and husband on a farm. And of course, by that time, he was working in that for the gravel pit,
Which gravel pit would have that been the,
striker one.
oh, there on the highway, okay.
So he was
Yeah.
born in about 1921, and did he live home until he graduated high school?
He did not graduate high school.
Okay.
None of those children
Lived-
did.
Lived at home until he got into the service then,
Yes.
pretty much. And how long after that did his folks continue to live there?
In the cabin. you
Uh-huh.
mean? I couldn't tell you that. They had a farm that it eventually worked out that our farm was next to it, the one Milton had bought.
And who lived in the log cabin after they would have moved out?
I'm not real sure of that. And of course, it was vacant some of the time.
Who else lived there ever after they left?
I better not try to say that. I know you think I'm not very knowledgeable, and I'm
Oh,
probably
No,
not.
no.
This is
But
kind of,
things get lost in one's memory
Absolutely.
sometimes too.
it does. And I've already been there, done that.
Yeah, I forgot yesterday already.
You're right, yeah.
About the businesses, and she remembers Stanley's eyeglass.
That was where we bought our first groceries after we were married. And of course, my goodness, my memory is failing me. Stanley is still alive.
Correct.
Becky is.
And I remember shopping at Stanley's too, but I also would check the sale ads. And then sometimes, majority I got at Stanley's, but the other one I would go over to Art Lofts or Basil McKee.
Basil McKee's was in
Mhm.
business when Stanley's was.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we kind of shop the different sales.
And my dad probably was when you were married in 1950. There was a Sutherland's Market over there on the west
Yes,
side.
definitely.
Yeah.
That would be, yeah, her father.
Uh,
Let's see, I'm not sure if that was in operation when we were married or previous to that.
I think it was in 50. They started that in
I
about
see.
47 or so, 47, 48, and quit in 52, 53, somewhere along there. So
One thing, when I got married and moved into the Blue Rapids area, I learned what kolaches are and how good they are.
did you make them?
No, I never did do that. I just ate them.
Now, did she ever bake kolaches? Esther
Esther.
Musil? Because I know,
I don't think she did now. Probably her mother did.
okay. Because I know you're real good friends with
Yes,
Esther.
we are.
Mm-hmm,
Of course, she's in the Blue Rapids facility now.
But you would go to church together, or how did you get to know each other?
Well, I'll tell you, she retired, and of course I knew her when she came back to church there at Blue
Presbyterian.
Rapids. And one time she called and wanted to know if she could come out and visit. And of course I said yes. I sort of wondered why and everything, but we hit it off. And my husband was working nights, and I think he sort of encouraged it too. That way I had someone to go with a lot of times, and he couldn't, and that. And she really loves the country. And I've done a lot of walking through mud and following her around to different events.
So did you usually go to events that were like historical type events, or just
Oh, just a happy mixture.
a happy? Oh,
And I think we've called each other probably every night. Well, not lately since she's been in the home that often, but otherwise every night for 25 years probably.
oh,
Of course, we were on Blue Rapids, you know. That was easy to do.
That's a good friendship.
The little house you moved into there in Blue Rapids,
Uh-huh.
who did you buy that from? Do you remember?
Oh, gosh. No, I really don't.
It was a cute little house, a small
What
house.
was the address? I don't know where you live.
I think 207 East 7th.
It's right across from Mark Road.
Oh,
That little,
Yeah.
that little
Yeah.
brick
Yeah.
I still
home.
have it.
Oh, you do?
I
Okay.
probably shouldn't, I don't know. I couldn't decide what to do. Of course, my daughter comes from Lawrence to visit me, and I have that, she stays there, and
Oh, sure.
I just have thought, well, probably what I pay to maintain it isn't any more than she would be paying out for motel bills.
Mhm.
So at least for now, I still have it.
It's a cute little house.
Yeah, it is.
I've had a number of offers to buy.
You just have one daughter, or do you have more children?
No, I just have one daughter, and she's a chemical engineer and works for the state at Lawrence. And there's a state office there too.
This is Helen. What year did she graduate from school?
Gosh, must have been 79, I think.
Somewhere in that area.
You'll think I'm terrible, but I sure
Oh,
don't
no.
remember
No,
things
you're
like I
fine.
should.
No
You're
problem.
You're fine.
So what other businesses do you remember as you think about going around the square? Was John Elberg there as an attorney in
Yes.
the spot next to Vic? You would remember the old Gamble store probably.
Definitely, I bought a lot of gifts there. That was before we were married, I think, mainly that they were there and I bought things.
Do you remember the back room where they had the toys at Christmas time?
The what?
The toys at Christmas time?
Yes.
See, that would have been Mr. Dietrich then, or
Yes, they
somebody
had it.
before that? Okay. Was there a hotel to the east of that, or was it a vacant lot? Do you remember that? Was there buildings to the east of the Gambles? 'Cause I can't remember when those were torn
Early
down.
on, I kind of think there
Was,
were.
okay.
And let's see. Well, of course, the restaurant, I guess it's always been there. Different ones had, and the post office and the.
You know, the post office was put in the 50s maybe, or
Oh,
60s.
really?
60s.
60s. Before that, there was that little filling station that sat catty corner
Oh.
there.
And then, of course, the movie theater was still there when we were married.
Mm. Did you get to go to the movie theater? Did you go to
Oh,
those
yes,
movies?
definitely.
What were some of your favorite type? Westerns or?
Well, I
Romance?
didn't have anything against westerns. I guess just most any kind
Oh,
of
just-
a movie.
Did you dance in the basement, square dance, or?
I never did dance, and my husband did not either.
Mm.
We never learned to dance. My parents did dance. Maybe that had something to do with it.
They didn't dance? Your folks
No.
didn't either? So what did you do for entertainment when you were out on the farm? Did you have neighbors come over to play
Oh,
cards?
yeah,
or?
we did that. We belonged to a pitch card or deal at one time. And we went to things at the rural school.
Like Christmas programs or box lunches? Did you have those kind of things?
No, but we did have like chili suppers and
Okay.
things.
Now, would have they voted out there too for
Yes,
voting? Okay,
yes.
that was one of the. Okay. Did you ever work on the voting board?
Yeah, I did some.
Do you remember what kind of little booths that they had? Do you remember what
All I know is just something they put up with curtains, you know.
curtains? There was a. You can show this.
We had beef cattle, and we did have a couple milk cows, and my husband milked those. Or part of the time we were on the farm, and
You had chickens, ducks,
I had
mules.
chickens and bannies, and my husband loved chickens, although he had a big scar above his one eyebrow where when he was a youngster, a rooster had ran its, what should I say?
His beak?
Spur,
Or,
or the spur on his
Yes.
foot. Yeah.
oh. Hmm.
And I guess they were moving at the time, and he was lying down all the time. I think he had a shot for
Tetanus.
Tetanus or
yes,
something. Hmm.
but he still liked chickens.
Did you sew and do handiwork, crocheting and
I
knitting?
don't crochet, I do knit. I have later years, and of course embroidery and that. And we always had a big garden,
You did a lot of canning, probably.
quite a bit. Uh-huh.
What was your favorite canned product? What did you do the best? Pickles or?
Well, I think tomatoes were easy and they were always so good, cold packed, and we liked them right out of the jar.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And our pitch club at one time was Amels and Ed Scala's and Harold Katopish's, and us. I guess that probably was it.
Did you always have snacks when you played cards?
Oh, definitely.
Go from one house to the other, take turns?
That's right.
Uh-huh.
We sure did. Always enjoyed that.
I'm trying to think of the club name that was out there.
I can't think
Something
of
about-
that to save my soul.
Was it something about chatter? No,
No.
that was in town.
Was it an EEU, the Extension
No, no.
Homemakers,
No, no.
HEU?
It was just a
It's terrible that
local group, or
that I can't think of the
neighborhood.
name.
She wasn't
of
in the
that.
White Way with Angeline.
No.
No, the White Way would have been on Highway 9.
Okay.
That club did a lot of cleaning of the schoolhouse and things like that too.
Oh.
And probably did minor repairs and kind of the upkeep of the schoolhouse, right?
Well, possibly some of that.
Mm-hmm.
I just mainly remember thorough cleanings they did to it. And it was a very nice country school, of course.
Mm-hmm.
The one I went to, as I said, just had a roof like that and
Yeah.
one room, no basement.
Well, this one over here, Prairie Ridge had a basement.
Oh, wonderful basement.
Okay.
A lot of social things took place in that.
Mm-hmm. Well, then the Czech church would have been on west of there, a mile, right? Would that be right, up at the corner?
I think north, wouldn't it?
North of the schoolhouse?
Yes, a mile. I believe that's correct.
Okay.
Unless I'm mixed up on my directions too.
But did you attend that church then?
Yes.
Okay, good, because they merged into the Blue
Right,
Rapids
and then, of course, we
Presbyterian.
went with the Blue Rapids,
Mhm.
which I'm still a member of.
Okay. Because Angeline talks about her mom and dad going to that church, the Czech church. We have a picture of them. Remember that video
Mm-hmm.
of,
I don't think at the
was it-
time we were
she was
going.
hula. She was a hula. And that might have, yeah, been probably
I
before
think
your
it was
time.
prior, probably.
Mhm.
Well, but there would have been, Cradaville's out there, and I think Barbara Brenner and her folks might have gone out there.
Yes. And Blodgett's,
Tom?
yes,
Oh, and Katrina, or
Katura.
Katura. Katrina's. Do you remember any stories about him playing baseball, Tom Blodgett?
Well, not too many, only that he was good at it and played in that. And I do remember him at church. He would put his leg up and balance his communion cup for the benefit of his nephew.
Did you ever go see him play? Did you go to the ball game?
No, that was prior to the time I knew him. She was a good friend of mine.
And what was her maiden name? Was she a Preble?
Preble,
Preble.
you're right.
Violet Preble's sister-in-law.
Right, and then there was Manila that worked up here in the courthouse for years.
Oh.
Was a sister.
Okay. Did she live down there in the Irving area, Manila, or did she move up here? Do you remember?
She lived up here,
Up
I'm
here,
sure.
okay. Well, Violet has a large scrapbook
I'll
of
bet she
Tom's
does.
history and stuff too, and she has a lot of goodies.
I think those folks were all very close. I'm rocking again, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Do you remember any of the town characters in Blue Rapids? The people that were interesting?
Well, just right off, I can't. Now in Irving, I think there was that Eagle Eye.
Does Irving claim Eagle Eye? So did Blue Rapids.
Well,
He probably moved out when the dam came in then, maybe.
I don't know if he was still living or not on that score.
Do you have an Eagle Eye story?
No, I really don't. I
She just
heard
remembers-
plenty of them though. I should have.
Yeah, he's the one that comes to mind to a lot of people.
Yeah, he does.
Well, yeah, we probably, it's 11. Thank you for sharing though.
Well,
I
I'm
appreciate it.
happy to. I'm sorry I don't have anything more
Well-
exciting.
No, just, this is just fine. It just has a story of, how you met your husband and he worked at Georgia Pacific, which we now have an exhibit. The Historical Society has an exhibit on the history of the gypsum mining in Blue Rapids.
You do?
Uh-huh. So, I don't know, do they ever do field trips here?
Well, they do take people places or
Do they?
groups
Mhm.
to some extent.
It's just kind of,
Yeah.
it would be nice if, well, I don't know, there's several Blue Rapids people that are up here now.
Well, let's see.
And Vernil's Waterville. Dorothy Hardman would probably enjoy the gypsum.
Oh, I think she would.
Mhm.
And there's Mrs. Hankey. I can't think of her first name.
Oh, yeah.
Is here.
Well, some people would like to go just because they like to go. They could shop and
That's
all
true.
kinds of things if they come down to the Mercury.
Who's your activities director, that person?
Penny Grable.